Om Shri Sai Ram, Gita Vahini by Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, Chapter 7, Enrich the Practice of Dharma, Dharma Sthapana. Whenever Dharma declines, which has been laid down, I incarnate as the Narakara or the human form from the state of Nirakara, formless, in order to revive it and restore it and save the sadhus or the good and the virtuous from fear of danger, said Lord Krishna. Now, this statement might cause some misgiving. You may ask, will not common people then conclude that Dharma is something liable to decline? Will they not condemn Dharma as not Nitya and Satya? Dear readers, you will grasp the importance of the task of protecting Dharma only when you consider its origin and purpose. God created this prapancham or the visible world by His own sankalpa or will, and He commissioned many rules and orders and also ordained various dharma nibandhanas or the moral codes to sustain the orders. The word dharma is derived from the Sanskrit root word dhar, meaning wear. Dharma is that which is worn. Desham or land or country is like deham or physical body, and dharma is like the pitambara, the holy apparel that is placed on the Bharat Desham or the country of Bharat by the Lord to protect it and to beautify it. Apparel we wear, not only it guards our honor and dignity and protects us from chill, but also beautifies us. Dharma too is like the apparel. It protects our honor and dignity when we wear it. When people submit to God's will and wear the apparel called dharma, the honor of the country too is preserved and protected. This is how the dharma is maintained, not only to the desham or land or country. Everything that exists in this world has its own special and distinctive apparel of dharma, that is property or innate quality. Dharma has both samasti swarupam and vyasti swarupam, that is the individual form, and the universal or macrocosmic form. Take the Panchabhutas or the five elements, the fundamental components of the creation. Of these, water has movement and coldness as its sahaja dharma or innate quality. Combustion and heat are the dharma of fire. Each of the five has its unique dharma. Humanity for man, animality for animals, these guard them from losing their respective status. How can fire be fire if it has no power of combustion and heat? It must manifest its dharma to be itself. When it loses that, it becomes a lifeless bit of charcoal. Similarly, man too has some sahaja swarupa, swabhavams, or the natural characteristics reflecting man's true self, that are his very life breath. They are also called shaktis or abilities. Man can be identified as man only so long as these abilities are found in him. If they are lost, he is no longer a man. To preserve and foster such qualities and abilities, it is essential to follow certain achara or vicharas. Protecting his sahaja, swarupa, swabhavams or shaktis is the means to protect his dharma. Dharma is not imported from somewhere outside you, nor can it be removed from you. It is your own swabhavam or innate nature. If one struggles to preserve or maintain his own swabhava shakti, he can be deemed as a fool who is unaware of his own swabhavam. So, dharma Pravartana, or the observing or practicing dharma, means protecting and acting according to the Sahaja Shakti of every object that exists. And Adharma Pravartana, not observing dharma, means going beyond the Sahaja Shakti of the objects that exist and behaving as the whim dictates. So, in common parlance, dharma was said to have been destroyed because in course of time the number of people who protect, practice and carefully hand it over such Sahaja Shaktis or innate abilities that the Lord has willed and bestowed has declined. But dharma is something that cannot be destroyed, just as the unnecessary weeds and wild grass overpower the growth of the crop in the field. Unwanted kalpita dharmas overpower the growth of Sahaja Shaktis or true dharma in man. So dharma rakshana, or the protection of dharma, means weeding the field and ensuring the growth of the crop. Now, in this age of Kali, dharma has become a mere matter of words. It is not seen in action. Dharma is not just the magic of words, it is just to be shown in practice or action. This must be clearly understood. What has to be spoken in words is satya or truth. What has to be shown in action is dharma. Satyam vada dharmam chara, that is, speak the truth and perform dharma or the actions as prescribed in the Vedas, has been the clarion call of the Upanishads, the repositories of the Bharatiya Samskriti or the culture of Bharat. The essence of these glorious teachings has been forgotten today. It has been turned upside down. In fact, dharmam vada, or speak dharma, is the order of the day. This is the first step in the decline of dharma, which is the descent from action to speech. This is adharma in fact. That which is not practiced cannot possess strength. The crocodile's strength depends upon its being in water. Likewise, the strength of dharma depends upon its being practiced. It becomes weak when it is taken out of practice and thrown on the sands of words. Satya or truth is a matter of speech. It gets strength when it is practiced in speech. It is difficult to demonstrate it in action. Strength has two meanings here: Pashu Balam and Dharma Balam. For a human being, Dharma Balam is true strength. He cannot be considered as strong by merely having external physical strength. Bhima had only Deha Balam or physical strength, so his strength can be considered only as Pashu Balam. But he had Dharma by his side in the form of his elder brother Dharam Raja. So long as Dharam Raja was by his side, Bhima's strength became dharmic and ceased to be mere Pashu Balam. The Pandavas were saved by their adherence to dharmic strength. If they had relied only on Pashu Balam, they would have lost the battle in the very beginning itself. The Pandavas, without the force of dharma in the form of Dharam Raja, whatever the strength of their own resources, would have been an easy match for their opponents. Just ponder over that. How were the Kauravas destroyed in spite of their vastly superior resources? They did not have the dharmic strength. All that they could rely on was sheer Pashu Balam. The day when Dharmaraja and Bhima, who represented dharmic strength, were forced to exile into the forest, adharma penetrated into the land of the Kauravas. So, the dharma that has now been exiled into the forest has to be restored to the villages and towns in order to establish plenty, prosperity, and peace to the world. From the reign of adharma, the world has to enter the era of the rule of dharma. Special effort is called for to remove the weeds. When you cultivate a crop, No effort is necessary when weeds and wild grass are to be grown. Likewise, now for the valuable crop of Sahaja Dharma to be cultivated, it is necessary to put in all our efforts. When Dharma is practiced, more and more with all efforts, a Dharma will decline by itself. No special exertion is needed for putting a Dharma out of action. Therefore, Dharma Sthapana means in this present context enriching the practice of Dharma. What does it mean when people say the sun has set? Only it is not visible to us. Otherwise, the sun never sets. Simply because the sun is not visible, people consider it as the sun has set. So too, simply because people say Dharma has been destroyed, it does not mean that Dharma has gone out of existence. It only means Dharma is not demonstrated in practice. Dharma is not something which can go out of existence. Anything that ceases to exist is not Satya or truth. Dharma, since it is associated with truth, is indestructible. Dharma Sthapana means to make the Dharma that has become hidden, resplendent and visible once again. What Krishna is doing now is exactly that. Using Arjuna as an instrument, he is bringing back to light the codes of conduct and modes of thought which are laid down as Dharma from the very beginning and once again enforcing their practice. This is referred to as Dharmo Adharma, Dharmo Dharana. He is not reviving something that is non-existent. He is reviving that which exists. This is not work that can be carried out by ordinary men. So, the Sarveshwara or the Universal Lord, who is Sarvadhara, universal basis, has himself to assume the task. He is teaching the world through the Sarva Shaktimaya, all-powerful Arjuna. If Arjuna was an extraordinary individual like others, he would not have transmitted this great teaching throughout the land. So, you must infer that Arjuna was not an ordinary individual. He is a hero who has defeated not merely the outer foes but even the inner foes. Only the one with such Deva Shakti or divine strength can grasp the powerful teachings of Dharma and put them into practice. There is no point teaching it to those with no strength. It is with full knowledge and purpose that Krishna selected Arjuna as the Praja Pratinidhi or the representative of man and showered on him his grace. So undoubtedly, Arjuna was not an ordinary individual. Once, while Krishna was conversing intimately with Arjuna, he made this statement, Arjuna, you are my Parama Bhakta or the dearest devotee. Not only that, you are my Prana Mitra or dearest friend. I have no friend as dear as you are. That is the reason why I taught you this supreme, special teaching. Reflect on the inner meaning of this. Many in the world are only self-styled bhaktas or devotees. The Lord has not accepted them as such. A true bhakta is the one who melts the heart of the Lord and gets that title and acknowledgement of you are my bhakta from the Lord himself. If one is not successful in melting the heart of the Lord and the title of bhakta is taken by oneself, it gives only paltry satisfaction, not genuine joy. Alpa Tripti, not Atma Tripti. Arjuna was the only person who got the title, you are my bhakta, from the Lord himself. So, you can understand how pure-hearted, how deserving was Arjuna. You might say 100 things about your devotion, you might advance this claim and that, but you must show acknowledgement from the Lord. Without that, all your talk is empty boast. Bhakti must be proved by your implicit obedience. But that alone is not sufficient. That is why Krishna uses the word mitra or friend also. Mitratvam or friendship makes you fearless. Even if any one of these two is missing, you cannot be qualified for the Uttama Vidya or the highest teachings. Therefore, both Bhakti and Maitri are needed to become eligible for God's grace. Now, we shall resume the subject and go back to the Gita. When Arjuna listened to Lord Krishna's words, he developed a head load of doubts. He became agitated thereby. Not only he, but all men are worried by such doubts. Moreover, in the rather complex spiritual field and the field of knowledge concerning Godhead, there are two interpretations possible. Bhaya Dharman, the externally found meaning, and the Antara Dharam, the inner profound meaning. Ordinary men usually follow the Bhaya Dharam. To grasp the Antara Dham, one should have either Anubhav, experience, or Anugraha Balam, power of divine grace. Without these, the confusion will be greater. Doubts are very harmful. As the saying goes, just like the mole in the eye, the insect in the ear, the stone in the shoe, the thorn in the foot, the faction in the home, this doubt in the brain too is hurtful. When such doubts assail Arjuna, who is the representative man, it means they are humanity's own doubts. They can be solved only by Madhava or God, who is beyond and above humanity. That is why Krishna is ready by the side to remove the doubt and plant joy in the heart. Now, what exactly is the doubt of Arjuna? Krishna was born quite recently at the end of the Dwapar Yuga. Surya and Manu are persons of the aeons. How then could these two meet Krishna? It cannot be a physical relationship, for many generations separate Krishna from the other two. Krishna is Arjuna's contemporary. How did Krishna teach this yoga to Surya? To sit quietly listening to unbelievable stories is itself a sign of an aviveka, a fool or a blockhead. Every moment, Arjuna's uneasiness increased. This was observed by Krishna, who is everywhere and in everything. He said, Arjuna, what is the cause of the uneasiness that I notice in you? Tell me, and prodded him with a smile. Arjuna was glad that he got a chance. Madhava, I do not at all understand your words. They confuse me as so much that I am losing a little of the faith that I have in you. But I pray, excuse me for asking this. Please solve my doubts. I cannot stand it anymore. Thus Arjuna pleaded with folded hands. Gopala, Krishna, was glad and he asked him what the doubt was. Arjuna then said, Krishna, you said that you taught this yoga to Surya, which Surya then taught Manu. Of what distant past are these two? And to which age do you belong? Did you teach them while in this or another body? If you say, I taught it while in this body, that is unbelievable, for this body is only 3 or 4 years older than mine. You are not more aged than that. How did you teach them without my being aware of it? And the sun, he is thousands of years older than you. He is there from the very beginning, from a past which is beyond our imagination. I cannot believe it. No, not even the most intelligent person can believe it. Let it be. You may say, this is not the body and this is not the yuga. It was while I was in another body and during another yuga. That makes it even more strange. For How can anyone remember what happened in any previous birth? If you say that it is possible to have the memory, then it must apply to me also, is it not? The Shastras declare that only a few divine beings keep such things in memory, that ordinary mortals cannot hold them in remembrance. Well, I may accept that you are divine, but I have also to accept that Surya, the sun, is also divine. How can two persons equal in divine status teach and learn from each other? When you teach and he learns, he becomes your disciple, is it not? You must then be taken to be superior to Surya. Let us take it to be so. I accept that you are the Lord, God Himself. That creates further difficulties for me. For why should God be Himself bound by the sufferings associated by birth and death, an activity just like any other mortal human being? When you assume the 5-foot human form, is it not a limitation or on the limitless? From that infinite, limitless, and formless universal reality, why should God descend as the limited particular? Howsoever I argue within myself, I cannot solve this doubt. Your words are meaningful for you only. They do not convey any meaning to me. My head is confused. Give me some guidance, some convincing reply, prayed Arjuna. Krishna laughed within himself, recognizing that the appropriate moment has come. He said, Arjuna, what exactly do people mean when they say the sun has risen and the sun has set? It is so far as the vision is concerned. That is all, is it not? The sun does not rise, it does not set, isn't it? I am also like that. I am not born, nor do I die. Men of ordinary intellect consider that I am born many times and that I do many deeds during each birth. Whenever there is the need for the uplift of the world, I become manifest, assuming a name and a form, that is all. So, I am conscious of all my appearances, all my incarnations. I am almighty. I am Sarvajana, all-knowing. Not only I, even you know everything, but your Jnana Shakti or awareness is overwhelmed by a Jnana or ignorance. So, you are not able to know. I am Jnanam, awareness itself, and so I know everything at all times. When the sun is seen in a mirror, he does not lose either his status or his glory. He is unaffected, his glory is undiminished. So also I am reflected in Prakriti or nature, and that does not diminish any of my glory or status. I remain as almighty and as Sarvajana as ever. I am unborn, immortal. Humans are born as a result of the merit and demerit of previous births. Perhaps you think that this holds true for avatarams also. No. Yours is karma jnanam, birth due to the natural means as a result of karma. Mine is leela jnanma. Mine is leela janma, that is divine birth as a play of God. Prathanas or prayers and sadhukritas or the deeds of those with auspicious intentions, selfless deeds with pure tendencies, are the cause of my janma. Also, the misdeeds of the wicked and the noble deeds of the good are the cause of my janma or birth. Jai Sai Ram.
साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ